I would like to show you an example of a retaining wall that's typical of Thailand, in my opinion, particularly in villages where money is short, I guess. We've got one here. At its highest point it's about 2 meters and it's retaining at least 1.8 meters, almost 2 meters of soil. And as you can see, there's been a catastrophic collapse. We'll have a look at that in more detail in a moment. Let me just walk around the other side of this plot. You can see the slope of the earth. Now, my opinion is that this earth has been washed out and has formed this slope naturally with the rain. And the reason I say that is because there appears to be an attempt at repairing whatever was put in place before, very roughly using flooring panels, reinforced flooring panels, jammed in between posts, and there's evidence of the same sort of post that's been used on the corner here at the back of the property. As you can see to the rear, the slope is very consistent. I guess it's possible that the slope was the result of leaving the soil here without any sort of retention, and then they've added or tried to add a wall afterwards, but the very, how can I put it, the very lack of a wall at the top of this slope of any significance suggests that that's not the case, that there was a wall here and it's collapsed and got buried. There is a little bit of a wall here, I can see now. Just a single skin block. Very, very small posts. And then here, no evidence of a wall. Right, let's go back to the very definite collapse that we've just seen. Let's have a brief discussion about this. First thing to note is that this is a single skin wall, and for this height, undoubtedly it's just not up to the job. The second thing is that I doubt that the footings are very substantial. It looks like there's sort of an extra width of block right at the very bottom on concrete as a sort of footing, and you can see from this section that there are substantial cracks in it, and I would imagine that when we get another rainy season that could well go, even though most of the water that's gathering behind this wall will now escape from this massive gap. Now, in my opinion, this is a typical traditional cheap Thai construction, although it's unusual to find it so high. Mostly the retaining walls on people's properties are only about 1 metre high at the most, but this is 2 metres high. And one of the things I've noticed straight away, if you look down where this post is, and this post has stayed put, both the posts have stayed put, it's the wall in between that's given way. But if you look down the edge of the post, there's absolutely no evidence that the blocks have been tied into it. On my wall, they've drilled into the post at almost every course and laid a steel bar, a rebar, through the post into the blockwork. So there's some element of tying in there, which would obviously have meant that this wall, although it was under enormous pressure to collapse, it was less likely to, because it was tied into a post which had stayed put, probably because it's buried 50 centimetres under the ground. And there's the same on this side as well. There's no evidence of any tying in. So these blocks have broken free quite cleanly. I would imagine that's the edge. That's the edge where it was put against the post. And that's the central bit, which has basically split. So it's come away from that post very, very cleanly. To their credit, it does look like they've made an attempt at putting some stays in here. This wire here, wrapped around the post, appears to be the start of a stay going down here. And I can see evidence of wood shuttering here that would contain the concrete stay. And there's one other post in this line that's got this metal wrapped around it, this rebar wrapped around it, this one here. I think this is another stay. After this point, because of the slope of the land, the wall doesn't actually have much height, so they haven't bothered with stays in that direction. But they haven't got any more. They've only got 2 stays along this section here, which is between 1.5 and 2 metres high in terms of soil retention. So I thought that was quite an interesting wall to see in the village. I guess that's an example of how not to build, and gives me confidence about my build.